After 10 years in corporate New York, Heather Redderson was successful but not satisfied. So, she decided to do what any gorgeous Jimmy Choo wearing New York woman would do in her situation. She took herself to Brazil to go hiking alone. And that's where she realized that that was where she was always meant to be, on the trail. So, she decided to become a mountaineer. With us, after 63 days in a tent, is Heather Redderson. Heather, yes. 63 days in a tent. Some people, including myself, might say that you're crazy. What is it about...
Crazy.
You what?
I said, I think I'm kind of crazy too.
That's a great thing, right? Obviously it's working for you. What is it about mountaineering that makes you tick, that makes you spend 63 days in a tent?
Well, I think it's really kind of a variety of reasons. I mean, when you say mountaineering, mountaineering can really encompass so many different things, and it takes people entire lifetimes and careers to become, I guess, what would traditionally be considered a professional mountaineer. I think what I'm pursuing is more a smaller aspect of that, which is allowing myself to inspire other people to really get outside and enjoy the outdoors and be able to safely take them into area where you would actually have to navigate and know how to do different safety procedures and rope work to get people up to certain points that they might not have been able to do themselves. So in order to do that, I actually, have to get trained so that people have faith in me being able to take them out to do that. And 63 nights in a tent came from getting ready to do a professional training course this summer and wanting to spend as much quality time out in nature and out in the wilderness and out on the mountains that I could. And really staying in a hotel or staying in a lodge isn't really conducive to getting up and getting out on the mountain every day. And so I decided for the past couple of months to just live in a tent. And it's made me a lot more mobile. It's made it a lot more easy to get out onto the mountains. And it's also been incredibly budget friendly when you decide to change careers and you're not working, until you start that new career. The budget's always a consideration, and staying in a tent's been a little bit cheaper than some of the B&Bs that are tempting from time to time. So that's how it's come about.
Well, tell me this, and back to the career point. So you have a great job in New York, and you go to Brazil, and in the middle of Brazil, you're like, wait a minute, this trail is where I'm meant to be. What was that moment like, and how did you make the decision to take that massive leap from corporate New York to, to guide, basically?
Well, I think, really, not to, sound a bunch of fluff or anything, but I just really did a lot of soul searching. And I think my experience in Brazil was just so profound. And I realized just how transformative it was in just a few weeks that I spent in Brazil for myself personally, from both a physical level, a mental level, stress level, etc., that it really got me thinking that what I thought was important to me really wasn't. And
what
that
give me an example, if you don't mind.
I think that especially, being in America, and I'm not saying this isn't true in other cultures or, other countries, but, we really have this kind of predictive nature to society. And, I guess you could say middle class, white collar America is that, you graduate from high school, you go to college, you look for the best job that pays you the most money so that you can have nice things. And it becomes this cycle. And, when you really start to feed into it, and I think you start to kind of convince yourself that that's what you want. And maybe you do that, and it prevents you from really thinking about, is this really what I want? Because, you go on your vacations and you have nice things and you can go out to nice dinners and you've got great friends and you're having a good social life. And so it makes it easier to maybe forget about this hobby or this passion or something that you have on the side, because you have other things that are kind of filling that or kind of fulfilling that. It really was when I stepped away from all of those things, all of those fillers, if you will, not to make light of them, because obviously friends and those types of things and family are incredibly important. But once I stepped away from those things and was in Brazil, and it was just me, and it was just being outside, and it was just being able to go hiking and spend time on the beach and be healthy. And when I took all the other distractions away, it was just like a light bulb went off and everything just became clear. It was just like, I need to do whatever I can so that this is not something I'm able to do for 2 weeks every year, but that somehow this can become more of my lifestyle.
What's been the biggest adjustment that you've had to make since you left New York City and started doing what you're doing now?
I think it's definitely, it's twofold, really. Obviously, there's a financial component to it. I'm completely switching careers. So rather than having that steady income, I've had to kind of go out on my own and use my own savings, find, temporary work where I've been able to, definitely budget more than I've done in the past. So there's certainly a financial aspect to it. But on the other hand, I think the biggest thing is that I had a very comfortable, cute little apartment in the West Village in New York in a great neighborhood, and it was super cozy and I loved it. And I've essentially been homeless for the last, 17 months, and all my stuff is in storage. And, when I say homeless, I don't mean that with a negative connotation, but I think the biggest adjustment has not really been having that home base or that nest, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that a really good byproduct of that is realizing just how little you actually need stuff or things, and just how home really becomes a product of the people that you're spending your time with, and really kind of what you're passionate about. And so, yeah, it's certainly been a trade-off, but I feel like I've definitely gained a lot by giving up some of those things.
What would your advice be for somebody who's watching this and thinking, God, I'd love to be by myself on a trail in Brazil or, in Mongolia or whatever? What would your advice be to somebody who's thinking, maybe I should take the leap and do it myself?
Well, I think that there's, a variety of ways. I mean, I kind of went full tilt, quit my job, and just took off and have, started this snowball, if you will, leading up to focusing more and more on this. Because when I did quit my job, I had an idea of what I thought I wanted to involve myself in, but I kept myself open to opportunities. And, as this, 17 months has progressed, I've really decided that this is really where I want to focus my energy, because it is something that I've now had time to spend, pursuing, and have really understood that this is truly a passion of mine. But for someone who's maybe just starting out, who's not comfortable just taking that leap, or maybe financially can't take that leap, there's certainly ways to get involved. You can go and do some type of volunteering vacations where you go for a few weeks at a time and you work as an assistant with people who are taking people out on trails or taking people out walking or hiking. Do it in a volunteer capacity. Or there's lots of different places, smaller businesses that are looking for people that can come down and maybe help them organize on maybe more of the admin side if they've got visitors coming in from other countries, and maybe you could do some of the admin work and maybe not get paid as much, but enough to get by, but then start gaining experience. So there's ways to kind of get your feet wet. Obviously, there's plenty of information out there on the internet and everything. It's just a matter of kind of doing the research, and you can either start lightly and kind of work your way into it, or you can do it the way I've done it, which is just kind of dive in head first. I don't really think there's a right or wrong way of doing it.
So you're saying basically take a nibble before taking a bite of a whole sandwich, I guess. I think,
yeah.
Speaking of nibbling, I definitely do not want to spend 63 days in a tent, but from the way you talk so passionately about hiking, I would love to know, and whoever else is watching this would probably love to know, how can we get in touch with you if we want to, if we want to come hiking with you, we want to come to Scotland, which is where you are right now. What could we do to spend some time in your world?
The best way is to reach me on email. And because I am outside a lot, I only can check email every once in a while, but I promise to get back to you, and I promise to, we could put something together that would be great.